our sincere condolences, the teachers of this country, to the family and to the Kenyans following the sudden demise of Fidel Castro Odinga. And moving straight to the matter.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Moving straight to the matter at hand, we are not averse to negotiations. We are committed to negotiations. And it's on record that we have been in a record 26 meetings to negotiate a CBA for almost the last 3 years, which you will definitely agree with me, that is out of the ordinary. A CBA under standard labor standards has got timelines. It should even be concluded within a period of 100 days. We cannot be in merry-go-round meetings for a period of 2 years. And this is what we call a bipartite. So, is employer-employee negotiations. And since we were authorized through a vote on the 9th of December by the delegates, and the decision is supreme, final and binding to all members, we had no option but to issue a 7-day notice. And upon issuance of 7-day notice to the Cabinet Secretary for Labor, we did not issue to the Teacher Service Commission. We issued to the Cabinet Secretary for Labor. And so therefore, it is only a tripartite meeting chaired by the Cabinet Secretary for Labor that can resolve this stalemate. So we cannot go back and engage in a meeting with the same employer.
Allow me.
Yes.
Who is to blame for the failure of the collective bargaining agreement, in your opinion? Why has it taken more than 26 meetings and still no resolution? Is there, would you say, a lack of goodwill? But aside from that, why has Labour to date failed to step in?
Number one, who is to blame? This is a wider choreography, not only by the employer, but by other actors within government. A strange institution called SRC, yes, we do recognize it exists by the Constitution. But currently it's overstepping its mandate, and it has interfered extensively with the negotiations. And the latest circular, which we've seen, withdraws the responsibility allowance for teachers. It varies commuter allowance outside the current provisions of the CBA. It also withdraws readers allowance and special school allowance, and it even grants other government state officers like cabinet secretaries huge allowances that are to be effected with effect from 1st of January this year, while at the same time freezing any form of negotiation for basic salary.
SRC, you say, needs to bear responsibility. But before you move on, I need to ask this question.
The biggest source of interference in this matter.
There is a court order now in place, and yet tomorrow you are saying teachers still going on strike. Does this reflect a lack of respect for the rule of law and order by the teachers? And the unions in particular?
Teachers are known world over to be law-abiding. And we as Kenyan teachers, we are extremely law-abiding. But so far as we are speaking here, we have not been served. And as long as we are not served, then really nothing binds us from exercising the rights and the provisions of the Constitution.
Are you saying, Mr. Sossion, if indeed you are served, you will not go on strike tomorrow?
Secondly, the industrial court...
Please answer the question. To be clear, are you saying if you are served, you will not go on strike tomorrow?
That is a matter for another organ. It's not a matter for me to decide.
Two conflicting statements there, but I'll allow you to...
It isn't. Yeah. If we are served, we will discuss with our lawyers and our various organs and take an appropriate action. But that is not a matter for the moment. The fact is, for now, we have not been served. And if it is true, it's one group of puppets who are walking around in this country and purporting to be representing parents are the ones who made an application at the Industrial Code. Industrial Code is a code for workers and employees.
I must stop you there.
I must stop you there. Yeah.
I must stop you there. You've called them puppets. And I know a lot of parents have SMS tonight, and we respect, and I'm sure as teachers you respect that there is a role of parents, and parents are
we don't respect those particular groups, because Those are persons who are not validly elected. We don't know where they were elected, where they conduct their business, whether their accounts are audited. We know they are being used by the Ministry of Education and government, and that is why I refer to them as puppets as such. And that's our true position, and that's our feeling. And we know they are not representing the true feeling of parents.
They're not with us. They're not with us. But a lot of parents have been SMSing, and I will tell you there's mixed views on this issue. Some people are saying go on strike. Many others are saying don't do it, and I'll tell you why in just a short moment. If you are a parent, share your views. You've heard what Wilson Sossion has had to say. But what are your views on the issue? Make them known, because we do want to know. Let's come to the question at hand, which is parents' concerns. This is about the students. The bottom line is, how can we engage and ensure that at the end of the day we protect the interests of the most vulnerable, the greatest stakeholders here, who are the students? Wilson?
In this circumstance, nobody can claim to love the children, to love the parents more than they love the teachers. You must begin with the teacher. If you must think about love and welfare of the child. What we are pursuing is a just cause, so that we can deliver quality education to the millions of children of this country. And we are not at war with parents. I want to state it very clearly. And by the way, we are also parents. We are also affected. We are part of this society. And therefore, anybody trying to bring in the child, the parent, to placate us and to frustrate our efforts, I think is heavily mistaken. This is a cause that we are taking. And remember, we were to go on strike shortly before the national examinations.
And you pulled back.
But we decided to be very pragmatic and allowed the students and parents, allowed the students to sit for the national exams and supported them. Now, the basic principle and standpoint we have taken is that we are not resuming duties in the new year until we resolve this stalemate. Therefore, the onus of resolving the stalemate rests with the Teacher Service Commission and other organs of government.
And
it doesn't
and you have said the Labour Ministry critical in this process, you say. I want to come to the question of quality of education. Wilson, this is a key issue. There have been huge concerns about the quality of education in this country. And we can say certainly we want teachers to get the best they can possibly get, good salaries. We saw housing, the payments that are being issued for housing allowance. We want them to live well, a dignified life. We respect our teachers, I will tell you that. My teachers have shaped who I am in many ways today. They did for all of us. But there's been a huge gap in terms of quality of teaching, and we've taken this on before on this show. Also, the behavior and conduct of many teachers. So what's your role in actually saying, as we demand more, are we giving more?
When it comes to quality of education delivery in this country, it's a complex matter. There are three variables that are required. Enough quality teachers. Enough in terms of numbers. We are talking about a shortage of over 100,000 teachers. And the work that should have been taken up by the 100,000 teachers is spread over the few remaining teachers. And therefore, that means the few teachers we have are overworked and overloaded. That's one. Two, we are talking about decent teaching, quality teaching, and learning tools, and so that we can deliver. The best countries that have done very well have invested in quality teaching and learning tools, which I don't think we are getting it right in the country at the moment. We are talking about there are so many variables, and you cannot blame it on the laptop project.
Is it part of quality teaching?
A misplaced priority.
Okay.
If we were consulted, and we have a lot of brinkmanship in policy decision at the ministry, and that is why very soon education will go to the dogs in this country, because there is no extensive consultation in terms of policy formulation. So then, if we talk about the laptop, if we were consulted, we would have recommended standard desktops, laboratories, and classrooms complete with the ICT teaching and learning facilities. That would have been the more cost-effective way of integrating ICT in education. But the trouble, the biggest elephant in the house, is that we have over-politicized the sector, and we demonize every good idea, and we force policies that do not work. the issue at hand, the Ministry of Labour, because we want to be categorical and very clear in terms of law. If workers issue a 7-day notice of industrial action, this one we are not registering a dispute. We are not registering a dispute with the Ministry of Labour because we are already in dispute. And remember, last year we signed the return to work agreement to conclude the CBA within 90 days. We have been so kind to be so tolerant from 16th of October last year up to date. And the 7-day notice that we have issued does not bind us anymore to engage in a bipartite discussion with the TSC.
I stop you there because of time. We are coming to the close. I must ask, what's the bottom line? Should parents send their children to school tomorrow or not? And what will change these circumstances? What do you expect now in terms of that CBA and the next steps?
Now we've issued a very clear directive to all our teachers in all learning institutions and employment of the Teacher Service Commission. None of them shall truly be on duty tomorrow. That's a fact for sure. And we are telling them, stay away and move to our branch offices for further guidance and direction. And as to whether students should report to schools tomorrow, we are telling the public and the parents that we are sorry, we shall not be at school. So no one shall be responsible for your children. They are better off staying at home until we are done with the government. Once this stalemate is resolved, and I know it can be resolved, all labor disputes are resolved. There are channels. There is a complete Ministry of Labour that is established for this purpose. And we would expect the Cabinet Secretary for Labour to step in and the entire Ministry of Labour so that it is sorted out.
Thank you for coming in. I stop you there, and you've heard from the Secretary General of the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Wilson Sossion. He's put his argument down hard and fast, and he says it's time for the Ministry of Education, for the Labour Ministry as well, to step in. They expect Labour to be involved now. Children, he's saying, don't send them to school tomorrow. Parents, continue to share your views with us. What do you think about the situation? If you're a student as well, share your views. The SMS number will be on the screen. We're asking you if we could get that on the screen as well. We'd love to get your views. And so we ask you, should the teachers